This time of year can either bring excitement or dread. And if you're somebody like me that doesn't like big groups, you're kind of like, oh, do I have to see that person? Oh, you just had enough. And you kind of surround yourself with energy vampires. There's that one family member that just drains the life force out of you, that you just don't want to see over the Christmas period. Just don't want to put up with that bullshit, and you're screaming inside like, oh, please just go away, will you shut up? And I know that sounds a bit extreme, but we do all have that one family member, at least I believe, that can be really triggering. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how to survive this and setting boundaries with family. So I'm a total believer in it's okay to not do the things that everybody else says you must do. Like, we are pressured to think we must have the perfect Christmas holiday, the perfect family get together, this, and this, all the perfect decorations, all the trimmings, all this. And it's just not true. It's not realistic. Come on, we need to start normalizing that these things are toxic. Trying to put pressure on mums, on women, on families to have the perfect Christmas get together is, yeah, toxic and really harmful for mental health, especially when you see all those like things on Instagram of like the perfect aesthetic family looking homes and the perfect Christmas trees. But the thing is, it's okay to not want to go to that Christmas event. Like for me, I'm an introvert. So when I'm surrounded by a huge group of people, there's music going on everywhere. And I'm thinking, oh, just get me out of here, because it can be a little bit overwhelming. And particularly for people who like label themselves as neurodivergent or whatever it is, and especially with children that are labeled that too, can be overstimulating. Anybody that's on the spectrum or whatever, it's too much. So sometimes we don't want these big gatherings. It's important to, yeah, think about those things before you put on these like events, I personally believe anyway. But the first thing I think is a really good way to set boundaries and set expectations for your family is doing it before they even come round. And what I mean by this is sending a group message like WhatsApp, Messenger, whatever your messenger service is. And if somebody doesn't have one of these like messenger things, then you can just tell somebody to pass the message on. And there's this time of year with the gatherings, it's particularly important, I think, for family members to be aware of about consent and bodily like contact and having full autonomy with our children. And this is one, particularly for mothers, particularly for me personally, that we should be saying to our family members. We have to normalize this. So what I would personally say is, in a group message about my son, for example, luckily I haven't been in that situation yet. I haven't really been to a big group gathering over Christmas. I guess that's not, I don't have a large family, so it's not really been in that situation yet, especially with COVID, because my son's only like coming 3, so like first couple of Christmases weren't really big. Anyway, my point is, I would say along these lines is that I am trying to teach my son about bodily autonomy and consent. So please, when you come over, do not force yourself to give my son a hug or make him feel guilty when he doesn't want to hug you. If he doesn't want to hug anybody, that's his choice. We are just trying to teach him about consent and that he is in charge and the master of his own body. Because if you start forcing hugs on him, that's not teaching him about consent. And then I would just say, I hope you really understand this is just a value that we're trying to teach in our family. And that's it. And I feel that you can use this in any situation, like with any boundary, or something you just don't want people to mention. And another one that you could say, maybe you're a couple and You always ask that question, oh, when's the baby due? Or are you expecting yet? All those usual bullshit things that couples get asked. Or when's the wedding? All those things. Group message, I would just simply say, look, every time we come to these gatherings, we're always asked this, and we don't really like it. We'd appreciate it very much if you didn't mention it this time, because it's quite a sensitive subject. I hope you understand, and that's it really. I think this is a really great way of like setting an intention and expectation with family members, because it's not face to face. You don't have to deal with that awkwardness that comes with the face to face interaction when it comes to speaking up about things that tend to make you feel a bit like an asshole. Next thing I invite you to ask yourself is, what is my relationship, as in your relationship, with saying no? So many people, including myself, have gone through or currently still going through that need to always say yes, when really we mean no. We have this relationship with no that we don't like to say it, because one, we don't want to feel awkward, we don't want to feel like the asshole of the group, and we live in a society where we feel this pressure to say yes because we want to feel accepted into society. We want to feel accepted into the tribe. We don't want to be outcast, because what does that mean if we are outcast? It would mean death. But we are in modern society now, so that isn't just not going to happen. And we have to really understand that it's not our job to be liked. It's not our responsibility for what other people do and say. It's your responsibility to set the boundaries and do your own work and inner work and do what you can control. And if they don't like you or like what you say, that's out of your control. That's not your responsibility. That's their own issue. So it's just not your job to be liked or to be accepted. And if people get funny about that, then so be it. And the fear of saying no can also come from this people pleaser wound, this childhood trauma wound, this triggering emotion of needing to keep the peace. Things get a bit awkward, a bit of tension when you've said no to something or you've set a boundary. This can bring up the past pain, that emotion of the feeling of that, uncertainty, that argumentativeness that you don't want to feel, that you experienced as a child. So getting clear on your relationship and understanding why you don't like that word no, or saying no, will really help you to get more clear as well on what you do want, what you don't want. Because when you understand your relationship more with saying no, you realize, you say, well, no, I don't want this, or yes, I want this. So this is super important. I also want to say this, that I believe that it's okay to disagree. Like I said, it's not your responsibility to make people like you. People judge, people criticize, people just overstep the mark. It's your job to say, hey, don't do this, speak your truth. But at the same time, you can't monitor everything. So it's okay for us to have these disagreements. And I think when it kind of oversteps that mark, there can be that fine line, can't there, between what people do and say, because everybody's different. Everybody has their own opinions and political things. And it's just about being mindful of what we say around people and what we do as well, especially at Christmas time. Like, everyone is trying to be super mindful, but I think we all have that family member that just doesn't be mindful at all. Everybody's trying to be super mindful, that because we think we've got to have these perfect Christmas holiday, try to keep the peace, we try to do everything the best we can, but we always have that one family member that will potentially just kick up a fuss about something. We always stay quiet, we don't speak our truth. But what's the long-term effect of this? When you're letting people cross your boundaries, you're letting people just like walk all over you, they're embarrassing you, they're just making you feel like crap, because yeah, you're not speaking up. And often people don't realize that it is a boundary of yours because you haven't said anything. So it's important here to speak up, to tell that person what you think or what's not allowed or what is allowed, because otherwise they're going to just continue to do it and make you feel like shit. But I hope that has been really insightful for you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more motherhood empowerment, healing maternal lines, spirituality, all that wonderful motherhood stuff. And I will see you on the next video. Much love.